Welcome to Town Meeting. I'm going to say it again here in a moment, but I just wanted to do a little intro. Today I'll be joined by my father-in-law, Dr. Robin Foster. He is the pastor at our church. Again, this is something that I'm going to say in a minute. This is just a quick ranking that we decided to do. He asked me a few months ago, would I ever consider having him on the podcast element for the channel? And I said any element of the channel. And I ranked something. I don't remember what specifically I ranked. And he asked, can we rank Christmas movies? And I said, I thought about it and I was like, well, I think I want to do a tier ranking because some people that watch my videos seem to really enjoy those more than other stuff that I do. But I thought, why not? Because the tier list is going to go out differently, I think, than this ranking. Please enjoy. Be nice to my father-in-law. I don't think that he was nervous. He talks to people for a living as a pastor. But just sensed a little bit of tension from him because I kind of throw him off in the beginning. So that's my bad. And then I wasn't clear in my notes to him for like filling out the outline for us to go off of for our personal notes. I wasn't clear. That's my bad as well. Still learning, still growing. Please enjoy. And everybody have a Merry Christmas. Welcome to Town Meeting, the podcast element to Tide Town Reviews. Like I say in my intro, this is my father-in-law, Robin, Dr. Robin Foster. He is the pastor at our church, Central Community Church, if you want to check that out on Facebook. But today, we're not going to go deep into movies. We're going to just be ranking our 10 favorite Christmas movies. This is his favorite holiday, so he'll probably have a little bit more to say about his movies than I will because I'll be doing other videos, and that's fine. You're not going to like my list, I'll go ahead and say that right now. I'll go ahead and apologize right now. Don't be hateful, all right, in the comments. Whether you like his list more than mine, that's fine. Put it in the comments, let us know. Let me know how much you hate my number one. We'll get to it. All right, first and foremost, Robin, what is a Christmas movie to you?
Show that's around the elements of Christmas, whether it's family decorations, and of course if it has, and I'll have some in here that talks about the reason for Christmas, that is the birth of Christ. Mm-hmm. And so, but there's also good and funny ones that we'll talk about. It reminds you of Christmases past or Christmases you've tried to do where things just kind of fell apart, or even reminds you of your childhood. But it centers around the Christmas time of year. All right.
Now, for me, a Christmas movie is any movie that centers around the holiday in any way, shape, or form. It can be everything that Robin just discussed, or it could just be as simple as taking place during the holiday and there's decorations around. That's what I consider a Christmas movie. Does it have to be feel good? Does it have to be fuzzy? Does it have to have that Christmas magic? Yes, to all. So I looked it up. Several sources, they all said the same thing. A movie becomes a Christmas movie when it's set during the holiday, features Christmas themes like family and redemption, or incorporates holiday motifs such as decorations and carols. The definition is subjective and depends on the viewer. That's where it comes in. That's why I asked him what his version or view of a Christmas movie is, what he thinks it is, or what he thinks makes a movie a Christmas movie. But it's very subjective by the viewer, the movie's plot, and presence of specific holiday elements, making it subjective ritual and a combination of thematic and contextual factors. So yes, by definition, films like Die Hard, Lethal Weapon, Terrifier 3, even Batman Returns are all in fact Christmas movies. They all take place around the holiday, they all center around the holiday, and one of them's main or most poignant emotional scene happens in the glow of a Christmas tree. More on that later. Just because something isn't traditionally following certain rules or checking certain X amount of boxes does not make it, or does not mean that it's not a Christmas movie. Again, it's subjective. If you think it's Christmas, great. If you don't, that's fine too. Again, don't be hateful in the comments, okay? Because again, you're not going to like my number one. You're first. What we're going to do is we're going to do each top 10 uninterrupted. I'm going to let him go 10 to 1, and then we'll discuss a little bit. Then I'll do my 10 to 1, and then we'll move on. Because, I don't want to harp on a lot of these movies, because there's movies that I'm going to be doing other things with this year, at least for my list. I don't know about his. Hey, we haven't seen each other's list. So, Robin, take it away. What's your top
Well, the number one, well, the top 10. First
Number
one
10,
I'm going
number
to
10.
discuss is before there was Hallmark movies, there was, or Christmas Hallmark movies, before the Hallmark movie thing became a big Les Millie. And it involved a guy away coming back home from leave, and he went through one town. He was just going to stop, stay there overnight. He drove a Harley. It was beautiful scenery, him driving a Harley with snow all around. And, I just fell in love with it. And then, of course, he saves a guy's life, family invites him into their home, and he falls in love with the girl. All that stuff happens. And all the elements of what was truly an original Hallmark movie that they have repeated over and over again. Anyways, I would have considered that one the original. And it's centered around a small town, family business, church activities, things like that. And it really endeared itself to me over the years. Just a fun, if there was ever a small town like that where I can live in, you knew everybody and everybody loved one another, and really, it would have been great. But yeah,
Tyrone's
Tyrone's.
move out there. No.
And I realize I'm wearing the shirt, it should be higher, but number 9, of course, is the Christmas Vacation.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason why that one means so much to me, and everybody knows Christmas Vacation, Chevy Chase, trying to have the whole family there, the whole thing goes to pot, is that, I tried doing that one year and it didn't turn out so well either. So anyways, it was still one of my favorites even back when I was a kid and first saw it in 1989. Just a funny thing, of course, Cousin Eddie. I know Cousin Eddie's, I love him to death. Just that sense of just down home, always welcoming and always loving, that type person. So, anyways, that's number 9. Number 8 is Scrooged with Bill Murray. I saw that when I was in college, and I was like, hey, that's the guy I want to be. When they bring mice to you, and he says, I can't get these antlers on these mice. And he goes, have you tried Staples? I mean, just the obvious choice there. I was thinking, man, when I get into business, if I could be that cold-hearted back then, of course I was studying in business and actually was in business for 10 years before but it was just a great show, and obviously now I see it at the end, the guy just turns around. It kind of, every year it kind of hits me right here in the heart, regaining the Christmas spirit. Number 7, which is my granddaughter's favorite, because if they come over in July, they say, we want to watch Elf.
Really? July?
Yeah. They're ready to watch Elf.
They always want to watch Moana at our house, so that was new for me.
We watched Elf in July. They came back last month and they watched Elf again, and this time we had to watch Elf again. But it is one of my favorite ones. Of course, Will Ferrell's in there.
Yeah.
And Zoe Deschanel, I don't even know how you say her
Yeah,
last
Zoe
name.
Deschanel.
And Mary Steenburgen, Ed Asner, of course, and Bob Newhart. What you're going to find here is that Ed Asner shows up in a bunch of Christmas movies. But Bob Newhart's one of my favorite comedians of all time. Anyways, my granddaughters, again, love it. One of my favorite lines from that whole movie is, you sit on a throne of lies. When he looks at Santa, he takes it so seriously.
Yeah.
What was interesting, I read, and I didn't know if it was true, but James Caan, he kind of thought that Will was overplaying the part and kind of said, hey, you're really overplaying this guy. It's not going to turn out well. And then when he saw the movie, he's like, now I understand.
Yeah.
So even James Caan, the guy who had done all kinds of movies, one of the top actors of our lifetimes, came to realize that Will knew what he was doing. But you sit on a throne of lies.
That tracks with James Caan. Like, I'm sure that was 100% true. He was not confident in it or something.
Number 6, A Christmas Story. Now this, I think, is my mother's favorite Christmas movie. It's about the Parker family saga. It came from actually an article that he wrote back in the early 70s, maybe late 60s, somewhere around there. It came out in 1983. In all honesty, I didn't see it till like 4 or 5 years after it came out. Never went to the movie theater. And back when I was a young man, we had these plastic boxes called VHS tapes. And I got to see it in a VHS tape. And it just became one of the biggest movies of all time. Of course, You'll Shoot Your Eye Out, Kid is the one that we get from that one. Just a great movie. And another thing, too, that my dad, he grew up in Detroit area. And of course, you go up to that part of the world, the north, a lot of automobile manufacturers in the 40s, things like that. And my dad grew up as a boy, and he remembered seeing that house and that street and the school, and it reminded him of of growing up when he was a boy,
Oh,
especially up around Roseville, Detroit area. And of course, the snow's always all the ground. And just, it was a great movie.
I'd seen pieces of that movie. Last year was the first time Jessica got me to watch, got me to sit down and watch all of it, and I liked it. It didn't make my list, but I liked it. It was fun.
Well, you're a heathen. So,
Comes with the territory of being son-in-law, though, right?
well, the best choice she made was marrying my daughter. I'll just say that.
I'm not that much of a heathen. You hear that, world? He basically told me he loves me right there. Did you hear that? Everybody heard that.
Number 5, It's a Wonderful Life. Man. And the reason why, it's interesting that they had the copyright on it. I guess it's called the copyright. And somebody forgot to renew it. And in the 1970s, I believe it was. I don't know the exact story of it. I wish I had it.
You had a lot of notes about that one.
Yeah. I don't even think I have it here.
Oh.
But somebody forgot to renew the copyright on it. Well, in comes Mr. Ted Turner, TBS, and that's where you saw the It's a Wonderful Life marathons that he would run around Christmas time, 24 hours a day, just repeating the movie over and over again. But the thing that got me was, from my opening comments when you talked about Scrooge, I'm a very ambitious person by nature. And I thought that, when I went to seminary, graduated seminary, big church, big opportunities, things like that. And the first church I went to was a really small church. In fact, I had to drive a school bus and substitute teach in order to make up money. And I can remember just sitting there watching that and just thinking about George Bailey, how he felt like he was an utter failure while his friend went off and made big things and made a lot of money. I can remember keeping up with guys that I went to school with, and they were at this church and that church, and they were doing this and that, blah. And I'm thinking, my goodness, am I a failure? And when you see that, and ultimately, you're not a failure. Of course, no one's a failure that has friends, is what Clarence, I think, wrote to George in the book there. But I think it was Tom Sawyer, the book, if I remember correctly. Anyways, but he comes, his brother comes, he had saved the transport. Of course, he realizes what the town would be if he wasn't there, and he did play an important part. And his brother comes and gives a toast, "This is my brother George Bailey, the richest man in town." And everybody, cheers on. And, I'm getting goosebumps now thinking about it.
Sounds like
It
it
doesn't.
number one.
I think it doesn't really matter where you are in life, as long as you're being faithful to what God has given you and doing what He wants you to do. And that's what I gathered from that. I can remember in one scene where he saw his old beat up car, and he saw his friend had just had a brand new nice fancy car, and they want him to go down to Miami, and he's like, "Well, we can't go, we got to work here, blah." And then his rich friend drives off with some girl in there who goes off to Miami, and which I don't know what he was upset about. He stole his friend's girlfriend, which was Mary Bailey. And then he comes up and he kicks the door closed. And what is interesting about this movie is that is the first movie that James Stewart made after he came back from serving in World War II. And of course, he had a little interpretation after seeing the horrors of war and doing all the things that he did over there. And what really helped him out in that movie, now my mind went blank, who was his co-star? Donna Reed, and she kind of helped him through. I read something on that too. But it's just interesting how, in the first scene that he films after coming back from World War II is the one where he walks into the house, tries to warm up, and he gets real emotional, and he says, "I'm not going to stay here. I don't want to get married. I don't want to do this. I want to go out. I want to see things." And then he finally confesses his love for her, which is really strange, but it was a pretty.
And he wants to go.
And so he was trying to convince himself that that's not what he wanted, but he found out that she's what he really wanted. So not necessarily, and I have it back there on my end table. A couple of these are not movies. They are Christmas shows, so if you don't like the fact that it's a movie, tough, get over it. A Ford Family Christmas. It is actually a DVD documentary that focuses on Tennessee Ernie Ford. He had a television show, I think, from 56 to 61. And what it does is it takes clips from various Christmas shows that he did every year. And as I said this morning, Tennessee Ernie Ford would end each of his shows throughout the year with a gospel song. The networks didn't want him to do that, and they said, "No, don't do that," because they were afraid of whatever. And he said, "Nope, I'm doing it." And of course, that stuff was shot live back then. It wasn't like you can tape and then record it, and then change it, edit it out. It was all right there. And so he did it, and they had, I think, somewhere around 30,000 letters came in thanking them for singing that gospel song. And then lo and behold, his main competition, Perry Como, decided to start singing a gospel song in his show. So yeah, but it's the best part of that documentary is when they show the one show where he is, well, maybe not the best, but one of the best, is when he starts singing a song, and I think it's his young son there, and he's singing along, and his son's just beating time and shaking his head and doing this with it and acting kind of goofy, and the audience realizes it and they start laughing. Of course, Tennessee Ernie Ford, not only was he a great voice, but he had great comedic timing, and he allowed his son to do that because he knew this was show business. This was a moment, and finally he slows him down.
Yeah.
But another reason why that's number 4 is the first time I saw this, I actually showed it on PBS. And I'm sitting there with Jessica before you ever knew her. She was, she was maybe 9, 10, somewhere around there. And we're sitting there, we're watching the show together. And Tennessee Ernie Ford, and he goes through and he explains about the birth of Christ, but also about his death, burial, and resurrection, and why he did it because of our sins. And I'm just sitting there crying, because I can't believe that was actually told on network TV at one time.
Yeah.
And Jessica, she sees me weeping, and she just puts her hand on my hand and says, "Daddy, it's okay." I'm thinking, no, honey, this is good cries. This is good.
That's got to get you right, as a parent. I mean, I don't know, so.
No, it got me. My daughter always there for me. Anyways, number 3, and again, not a movie, but it is a TV special, How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
It's posted as a movie on things like Peacock and such, so.
Yeah. Well, it's actually shown because I bought it on my Prime, and it shows there as a movie instead of TV.
It's just a short. It's fine.
But of course, we hear about
Jim Carrey.
No.
Oh.
This is the original. I don't know Jim Carrey now.
You're talking about who is in this.
About.
I thought you meant I thought you were going to go into you hear about Jim Carrey's version and you really like this version. I thought that's what you were about to say.
I saw parts of Jim Carrey's version.
Boris Karloff.
I'm just Boris Karloff all the way. I'm old school. And
I got a name right for those of you who follow the page.
You probably read it right there.
I didn't see it.
Okay.
No, I just I said it right. I pronounced it right. I'm bad with names. It's well documented on the channel.
Well, of course, Grinch tries to ruin Christmas, and it comes out Christmas comes from somewhere else. It's not all the presents and gifts and all that stuff. And of course, Grinch goes down. He saves it. And it's really Dr. Seuss was actually a Christian, and he wrote this story with that understanding that how everything, even in he wrote the children's book in 1957, but then the television series came out in 1966. And I grew up with that. I mean, when I was a kid, you hear the old Jeff Foxworthy joke that, we were growing up as kids, you had a big TV. You had 3 stations, and if the president was on, your night was ruined because he was on every station.
Right.
Well, you didn't have VCRs back in the 70s, and you couldn't record these things. You didn't have the tapes and all that. So you made sure you were home on those nights when things like How the Grinch Stole Christmas, Charlie Brown Christmas, other specials that would come on, and you made sure you were home so you could watch it, because if you missed it, you had to wait a whole nother year to see it again.
They only did it the one time?
Only did it the once. So you had to be there. So How the Grinch Stole Christmas, number 3, just a great movie. And A Christmas Carol. I mentioned Scrooged earlier with Bill Murray, but A Christmas Carol, I really like the 1984 edition with George C. Scott. Of course, George C. Scott's one of my favorite actors. He starred in one of probably a non-Christmas movie, but he starred in this as Ebenezer Scrooge. Of course, the name Ebenezer comes from the Old Testament, which means stone of help. So you think of Ebenezer Scrooge, the name which Dickens played off, that this guy who had made all this money, who was so keen in business, was so successful. The reason why he was successful so that he could be a help to others. His first name, Ebenezer. It was directed here by Clive Donner, which Clive Donner seemed to direct a lot of Christmas movies. But it was filmed in the historic medieval county of Shrewsbury. And I won't even say that next word, Shropshire. I'm probably mispronouncing it. Those British don't know how to pronounce anything.
I am not the one to try to read a name, town or person.
But just the part there where he wakes up and he realizes he hadn't missed Christmas Day, and he talks to the boy out there, and it's just a great movie, and really like it. The part about Scrooge, I mean, that was just a funny movie. But the other part, other than do you have Staples or have you tried Staples, the other part about Scrooge that I forgot about was when the ghost of Christmas past comes up to him and he says, "Back off, big guy. That may work with the chicks, but not with me." Bill Murray's just one of the funniest guys around. Anyways, well, number one, golly, it has to be the Charlie Brown Christmas. Again, if you weren't home on that night to watch it, you missed it for a whole nother year. Now, I was not a Christian even back then as a kid, and you would hear the Christmas story, and I just really didn't understand all that was going on. And what's interesting about that show is that when Linus is reciting Luke, and he recites it, I believe, in the King James, and, Linus, the whole thing plays on his blanket, his security blanket.
Right.
And at the beginning, he uses that as a sling to knock a can off, and Lucy doesn't like it. She says, "What are you going to do with that blanket when you grow up?" He says, "Well, I'll turn it into a sports coat." I mean, he just loved his security blanket. And
sports coat.
But the part where he's reciting the Christmas story from the book of Luke, where the angels come and say, "Fear not," it's at that point that he drops the security blanket. And if you notice that, it's just real interesting that Charles Schulz, again, who was a Christian, he's also a Kappa Sigma fraternity brother of mine when I was back in college.
I don't know anything about frats.
Yeah.
I went to CB. Central Baptist College did not have fraternities.
They frowned on those, didn't they? I was a total heathen back in college. So,
and we all have a story.
Anyways, but when he says "fear not" and he drops that security blanket, I mean, there's something in there that Charles Schulz puts in that unless if you really know what he's talking about, you don't pick up on it. And it's just a neat thing. And at the end, you kind of feel Charlie Brown's deep anguish when he tries to do the tree and he says, he puts an ornament on it, he says, "I killed it." He walks away. Utter failure. You can just sense that you feel like an utter failure in this world.
Yeah.
And then his friends come around and says, "It really wasn't a bad tree." Of course, he takes his security blanket, again, wraps around the base of the tree. That seems to help it stand up. And they decorate it, and Charlie Brown comes out, and they all say, "Merry Christmas, Charlie Brown." I mean, it's just a touching thing. Anyways, I have some honorable mentions here.
Yeah, I did my honorable mention first.
Oh.
I only have one.
Well, I got
Technically,
several.
it's like 30, but it's one.
Well, the Santa Claus 1 and 2, love Tim Allen. Those are great movies.
I have a lot to say about the second Santa Claus.
I thought the second one was better than the first.
That's what I'm going to say. Let's move on. I'm going to cut that out of the video.
Now, don't cut that out. Leave that in there. Home Alone 1 and 2. That would have made it on my list just because I like the fact it's slapstick humor. I grew up, again, a lot of things from my youth here. But when I was a kid, you get up in the morning, you get ready, you sit there and eat your breakfast, you watch TV, and the Three Stooges were on. So that was my brand of humor.
It is very Three Stooges-esque.
And you see that throughout the movie. The reason why I didn't make my list is that if I had talked to my mother the way that kid talked to his mom and dad, I'd have been knocked out. I mean,
even me, I did not have the best home life before I met the Hollimans. I would have never talked to Deborah the way that he talks to his mom. I like the first Home Alone a lot. Yeah. I don't think it made my list because now for some reason I can't remember if I put it on there or not. The second one though, I could watch it or never see it again. I never. The big cheese pizza and the limousine and the shenanigans with being a hotel worker for so many years in Conway, the shenanigans with Tim Curry, love it.
Yeah, I do. That's what.
But the rest of the movie, I don't know. It's just the first movie again.
Well, Tim Curry in the slapstick, that's going on with it. But Tim Curry did an excellent job.
Oh, yeah.
In that movie.
Yeah, I'm so much on his. I'll never forget, we were at your parents' house. I can't remember if it was your parents or Tina's parents. But I was sitting there. It was your parents because I said it to Papa. I looked at him, I said, "I never in my life thought I would grow up to be the concierge." Because I was working in hotels at the time in Conway. So I every time I'm like, "Catch him! Get him!" But, God.
Yeah.
the way big hotels operate, it takes me out of it a little bit, the way he's able to like finesse stuff. It takes me out because of my experience in hotels.
Yeah.
It's like that would have never worked.
Well,
And it was back in the 90s, so there's that too. You know, I don't know how much different. I just think going from the smaller hotels I've worked in, like the biggest hotel I worked in was Hilton Garden Inn, as far as like prestige, you know.
Yeah.
Marriott, maybe. I wasn't there for super long, a lot of drama with that, but Hilton Garden, though, like, I can't imagine. I know we wouldn't have allowed him to go in the room without his parents checking in.
Yeah.
Or his dad checking in, because the dad was the one that made the reservation, you know. And that's part of suspension of disbelief, you know. And just for some reason, it takes me out of it. Hotel stuff takes me out of movies sometimes.
It's like I can't sit there and watch The Green Beret with my dad. He'll tell me everything that's wrong in the movie. It's like, Dad, let me enjoy the movie. Come on, man. Or, you know, like if you see a history movie or something, I'm sure you couldn't sit there with me. It would be tough on certain things, especially movies dealing with Bible events. Anyways, finally, the last honorable mention, Miracle on 34th Street. Now, I like the 1994 edition a lot better, but it was an honorable mention.
I can't remember the actress's name, but
no,
Matilda. She
starred in like 2 movies, and that was it. I mean,
yeah.
I never saw her again. But Dylan McDermott is great. I can't remember what the woman's name was. It's just one of those movies that I enjoy seeing every year. So that is my top 10 list, plus a few honorable mentions. I felt bad leaving the Santa Claus out.
I don't feel bad.
But
if you like those other more,
mention.
Yeah, if you like those others more, that is more than enough.
And if anybody's mad at me because I include a Hallmark movie, it's because it was a Hallmark movie before the Hallmark movie was a thing. Anyways.
I have a Disney Channel original on mine. It's fine.
Oh boy.
All right. I'm going to do my honorable mentions first, just because there's one. Technically, there's 30 of them. But my honorable mention is any version of A Christmas Carol. I don't know that I've watched one I haven't liked. I've been quite partial to the Muppets musical version here recently. And that's one of my videos I'm doing. I did Remake Rumble in October with horror movies. And now I'm going to be doing it again for Christmas. It was requested by some family members and stuff to do some more. So I decided to do a couple of Christmas movies. That's one of the Christmas carols.
Yeah.
I'm pitting against a different one. But it doesn't matter if it's Mickey's Christmas Carol, the Muppets, like Scrooged. I mean, I had never seen Scrooged until 3 years ago. It was right after me and Jessica got married. That Christmas, she got me to watch it. I ended up really liking it. It's not one of my favorites. It didn't make my list, but that doesn't mean it's not good. You know, but any version of Christmas Carol. I never really run into a version that I haven't liked. Of course, I haven't seen the really old version. The version of, I think it's from the 30s. Like, I guess it's the original. I've never seen that one, but I've pretty much seen all the others, I'm pretty sure. There's one with the actor from Walking Dead, Andrew Lincoln. I don't know what role he plays. And it may not be a movie. It may have been a Broadway thing that he did. But he was in a version of it too, or supposed to be in a version. There's so many of them. When I was trying to find it, I was like, forget it. Yes. There was just so many. My number 10 is a horror movie, Krampus. Now, I have issues with Krampus that I'll talk about with my final question, my final thought thing that I had down there. But Krampus is my number 10. I like horror movies. I like scary movies. And of course, Christmas scary movies are very hit and miss for me, just because they don't do enough with either side, usually. It's either over the top with the horror and the gore, or it's over the top with the Christmas, and you're like, why is this a horror movie too? Like, it's not really spooky. Just make a Christmas movie. And that's kind of how I felt with Krampus. Like, it wasn't, I'll get into it. Number 9, Christmas with the Cranks. I had an obsession growing up, I don't know what it was, with the book Skipping Christmas by John Grisham. I watched this movie, of course, and then Mom said, hey, you know, I have the book to this. And I was a really big reader back then. Now I get so sleepy reading. Like, if I try to lay in bed and read a book, or if I try to lay on the couch and read a book, I get so sleepy.
You know what the trick to that is, don't you?
Stay awake?
No, don't lay in bed and don't lay on the couch. You'll be fine.
So, stand up in the living room.
Yeah.
But
Or
I was a
Kitchen,
very-
whichever one you want.
I was a very avid reader. Chronicles of Narnia. I mean, some Harry Potter. I didn't really get into Harry Potter till college, actually. And then,
What at CBC?
yeah, very big Harry Potter fans.
They do have Christmas scenes in Harry Potter.
No, they had well, the movies had all come out, right?
Yeah.
And so I decided I was going to try to read all the books. I'd read the first four several times. But then, like, the last few, I didn't read those in high school. I started reading other, but expanding my horizons, I guess. Anyways, and Harry Potter just kind of fell off to the wayside. And then in college, I mean, I just watched the movies. I had so much other stuff I was reading and studying. That's kind of when my reading fell off. My enjoyment reading kind of fell off, and still trying to work that back up.
Yeah.
But number 8, Nightmare Before Christmas. It feels like a weird placement, but along with Scrooged, there are films that were introduced to me much later.
Isn't that one directed by Tim Burton?
No, produced.
It's produced by Tim Burton.
Yeah, so he wrote the original poem of some sort, and he was originally making, that's why it was stop motion. And it's that Tim Burton style. Yeah. He had originally done so much of it, and then something happened with Disney. There was some drama I don't know 100% information on. And if I'm wrong, I am so sorry. But I know Danny Elfman had a lot to do with the movie, and I can't remember if he's the one who directed it or not off the top of my head. But it's something I was introduced to much later, like Scrooged. And I was probably in college. The first time they were watching it on the TV in the Mabee Center. And I stood there and I watched some of it, and then I ended up sitting down and watching the rest of it. And I was like, what is this? Like, I thought it was new. I had no idea. I didn't know what it was. I'd never heard of it.
For a while.
Yeah, for sure. This was 2012, winter of 2013, and it came out in the 93 or 96, something like that.
Yeah.
I can't remember off the top of my head. I haven't really looked a lot into it for this. But it's become one that I watch every year. For Halloween and for Christmas. I watch it once for each. 'Twas the Night. This is my Disney Channel original. I have always loved the movie. Disney has some of my favorite holiday themed movies, whether it's Christmas, Halloween, whatever. Luck of the Irish is a St. Patrick's Day movie, technically. I've always enjoyed those. Movies were kind of my escape growing up, whether it was before the Holomans. That's when I started really going to church and all that, and that, ended up being the escape. But before that, it was movies. And Disney specifically, I love The Lion King, Aladdin, all that stuff. Well, then, of course, I started watching Disney Channel originals, and they always had good holiday-themed movies, or at least I thought they were good. And 'Twas the Night was always a very fun Christmas movie to watch, because the good guy is not a good guy. He's a criminal. He's a con artist. And you never heard of it? It's Bryan Cranston. I might have to try to get you to watch it. But anyway, so it's my number 7. I should have probably put it lower, but that's where I ended up putting it. Number 6 is The Santa Claus. And I don't have any further comments yet, because we kind of already got into it a little bit. I will go ahead and say, whenever I think about Christmas time, I do think of this movie. It pops in my head immediately because of a couple of scenes. There's the beginning at Denny's. For some reason, that pops in my head all the time. Or if somebody brings up Denny's for whatever reason. Anytime that comes up, or anybody else discusses Denny's, or even Waffle House, because I kind of associate the two. I know they're not exactly quite the same.
Waffle House is much better.
I know, Waffle House is better. I'm not disagreeing. But anyways, I think of the scene when they're in there and, Charlie's asking for all these things and the waitress, or all the fun stuff, can't have it. We don't have it. For some reason, I always think of that. And then, of course, when he first gets to the North Pole and, all the wonder on his and Charlie's face and all that. But it sits there.
Yeah.
Number 5, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, specifically Jim Carrey, because of how quotable it is. Again, growing up, yes, I watched the cartoon, the one that you talked about, the 1966 special. But, of course, this came out whenever, I was probably the most impressionable for movies, probably. And The Grinch was creepy to me, but still, I enjoyed the movie. It's another one of those movies that just pops in my head when I think Christmas, or if I think about, you don't have no ornament balls, do you? Up there. If I think about, an ornament ball or something, I think about Netflix used to have, anytime it had it on there, it was always the Grinch holding a red ornament ball. This was like a picture that popped up. I don't know. I thought it fit the best right there, right in the middle. Number 4 is White Christmas. It is a musical, so probably not up your alley. I think you only like Fiddler on the Roof, right?
And Sound of Music.
And Sound of Music. You might like White. Have you seen White Christmas?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Oh,
Bing
okay.
Crosby.
Yeah.
It's a good movie.
I got introduced to this in a past relationship. I wasn't big on musicals, but she told me, hey, you'll like this. You like Christmas movies? You'll like this. And she knew, how all my past with JROTC and how bad I wanted to be in the military until all my injuries got in the way. And they just wouldn't take me no more. But just like football, they quit taking my calls. They quit answering the phone. But anyways, a lot of really good stuff from that movie that I don't want to get into more because I'm doing a podcast episode about this specifically with Jillian in a couple weeks. So I'll really dig into it then. Number 3, The Santa Claus 2. Again, we'll comment more on that in a second, but it's my number 3. Number 2 is Christmas Vacation. Christmas Vacation. I have the shirt on. I love this movie. Until about 5 years ago, it was the one I watched the most. It's the one that I quote the most, or at least think about some of the quotes the most. I could probably watch it when it's not Christmas and be fine. I'm very category. My brain is very category. I have to watch stuff that makes sense for that time of the year. I don't know why my brain is that way. It's hard for me to watch Christmas movies in July or June or whatever. Whatever month you said the girls came over wanted to watch Elf.
Elf in July.
Elf in July. I don't know why, but Christmas Vacation I probably could watch. My number 1 I probably could watch any time of year too. But Chris Clark and then Cousin Eddie, them two specifically, any of the vacation movies, they're my favorite part whenever they're in scenes together. Yeah. And I feel like I'm becoming Cousin Eddie, and that's a little concerning. I always thought I'd grow up to be Clark, but I think I'm Cousin Eddie. A little bit, but
the part where if I land on the head, it just comes.
I can't. And then one of my sisters, for some reason, it's because of her gratefulness, how grateful she is for so much that's happened in her life that she's in a really good place. But she starts crying while thanking people, and I kid you not, every time I look, I just lean over to Jessica. Why is she crying? I'm becoming Cousin Eddie, I think, just a little bit. Hopefully I won't full-fledged Cousin Eddie.
What's wrong, honey?
Why are you crying?
She starts... I'm sorry, but when she starts singing, when she says, I pledge allegiance, instead of saying grace...
Yeah.
And
bless.
And she starts doing it. He stands up his hand.
Yeah. He just all right.
I'm sorry. It's just funny stuff.
Goodness. All right, my number 1. Again, you're not going to like it, people who are watching.
Oh, God! No brakes!
Lethal Weapon is my number 1 Christmas movie. It is very much a Christmas movie. It starts when it opens, Christmas song. Christmas decorations, places. The first time you see Mel Gibson, he's pretending to buy a Christmas tree from drug dealers who are, doing the front of selling Christmas trees because it's Christmas time. He deals with a guy who wants to take himself off the board of life by jumping off a building, but he's trying to talk him down, and his main point is everyone's down, especially during the silly season, talking about Christmas.
Yeah.
And the most poignant scene after Murtaugh's daughter gets kidnapped, and he basically is like, okay, I'm giving in. I need you to be the lethal weapon, basically. He's asking him to kill people for him, to get his daughter back if necessary, in the glow of its Christmas tree. And then they have Christmas dinner at the end of the movie. He comes in at the end, he takes his dog in with him and goes after their cat and stuff. You don't see it, you just hear it, But it's all during Christmas. It is a Christmas movie. Is it a magic Christmas movie? Is there the magic of the Santa Claus? The magic of the Christmas card? No. But according to the proper definition that I read earlier, It 100% qualifies, and therefore it is my favorite movie out of the movies that I put on this list. So it goes to number 1. All right. Do you have a definitive movie or TV Santa Claus? Whether it's from a TV special, a movie, it could be The Grinch. It could be Tim Allen.
A
It could be
definitive Santa.
yes, like an actor, I guess, who portrayed the role. It could be Boris Karloff as the Grinch dressed as Santa.
Ed Asner actually plays a pretty good Santa in Elf, but I'd have to go with Tim
Oh yeah,
Allen.
he is
So,
a good Santa.
The other one would be what's his name? Saturday Night Live when he did his
Oh,
I Live in a Van Down by the River.
Chris Farley.
Chris Farley. I'm thrice divorced and I live in a van down by the river. There
He
you
does
go.
a Santa Claus bit too.
Yeah, he does a Santa Claus.
Oh,
thing where
okay.
he comes down the chimney. It's pretty fun.
Oh no, I've seen that. Mine is Jack Skellington. I'm just kidding. It's Tim Allen. He's been Santa Claus to me. Anytime I think of Tim Allen, I think of the Santa Claus. I think of him as the Santa Claus.
Kurt Russell's also a good one too. In the
I haven't seen those.
the Chronicles on it.
Yeah,
it's on
I hadn't
Netflix.
seen those. I do need to watch those. I hadn't seen them yet. It's possible one of those could end up
And
on
what's
this
his
list.
name was actually the fifth Santa Claus in what was it?
Oh, yeah. Last year. Oh.
Red-
What is his
Red-
name? Red One?
or
Yeah.
Red something.
It's Red One. You're
Yeah,
right.
with the Rock in it.
Yes, The Rock and Chris Evans, right? From Marvel. I think that's.
I just remember him from the insurance commercials.
And then, what is his name? Simmons. Something Simmons. Jeffrey
I can't
Simmons?
remember.
From the Spider-Man movies. He is, yes, I know what you're talking about. He was a good Santa too. He just wasn't on screen enough.
Oh.
Do you have a hot take about Christmas movies in general, or a specific? Do not steal mine. I see you looking at my. You
What do
kind of
mean
already
by
stole my
hot- I would define hot take for me.
hot take. Like, I guess I can go first, and you can kind of feed off of it.
Okay.
My what a lot of people would consider a hot take is while the Santa Claus has a legendary status for most people, you know, that's probably one of their favorite Christmas movies, I would think. I think the Santa Claus 2 is the better movie.
Yeah.
I think, like, hot take. Like, something that you believe about Christmas movies
who made
or a
Santa
Christmas
Claus
movie.
too? The whole thing was made off of Molly Shanahan when he had dinner with her and she did Shania Twain. That was.
I forgot about that scene altogether.
Yeah, that
And she's got his face.
is. She has his
Sure,
face.
I forgot. I always forget about that scene until you see it.
Yeah.
Gosh. Yeah. I don't know. I think it being, he's established as Santa, so there's none of that silly, the silly trying to fight it.
Yeah.
Like, that takes up most of the movie. The family's not trying to, you're not stuck in the middle of family legal drama because, the wife and I can't think of,
Judge Reinhold.
Reinhold. But what's his name in the movie? Neil. The mom and Neil are on a much better relationship status with
Tim Allen.
I'm getting there. I'm finding it. With Scott. And anyways, they're all working together better. Of course, the movie is about Charlie being bad, like he's rebelling. But I don't know. Him trying to find a wife and the things that he does to try to, show what I can't remember names. I'm so bad with names. I wasn't prepared to talk about it this much.
Yeah.
But to try and show the woman that he is seeking, the principal of Charlie's school.
Yeah. I can't remember. her name
I
either.
don't know why I can't remember the actress's name, and I can't remember. I should have put that down. That's my fault. But anyways, the magic that he uses to try and show her the magic of Christmas, that it still exists and all that. Like, I don't know. I find that endearing, and it's not boring legal mumbo jumbo in the middle of a movie.
Yeah.
Like, post the Santa Claus when he's getting interrogated after he gets arrested, I don't care about the rest of the movie.
Uh-huh.
Like, with all the stuff with the ELFS or whatever, little special agents or whatever, I don't care. I don't, like, breaking him out of jail with tinsel, like, haha, but I don't know. It's, the Santa Claus 2 is more endearing.
It was more toward kids at that particular section.
Yeah, I don't know. Watching Santa Claus 2, I don't ever get bored watching it. I get bored watching the original after the po she's when he's being interrogated and just saying all the different names of Santa. I don't know. I always enjoyed it more, and I'm sure that's a major hot take for a lot of people because it's a sequel, and you're not supposed to like sequels or remakes or prequels more than originals, you know.
Yeah.
Anyways. So, do you have a particular hot take that you can just off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head, my hot take is this: there are Christmas movies that brings you back to those movies are themed off of that, and even the TV shows were themed off of that. But I think ultimately, Christmas is also a time, you remember that, and that's a major part of it, and that consumes it. But you can also have fun. You can see some of this stuff. Santa Claus was Saint Nicholas. He was actually a monk in the fourth or fifth century. That he would help people out. They would actually sell their daughters because they would get a dowry. And instead of selling their daughters, this monk would go ahead and put money in the stockings that were hanging there in front of the fireplace to dry out from the previous day. And that legend just grew from there.
I knew Santa Claus was derived from Saint Nicholas. I didn't know that much of it though. Like that he did that. I just knew he helped a lot of people.
And it's also said that he was at one of the church councils and actually punched one of the heretics, but that's never been confirmed. That's just been put out there. We don't know if that's true or not. But my hot take is this. Listen, as long as you come back to Christ, have some fun with it. Watch some fun movies, and with the kids, with the family, and with your loved one, whoever. And just, nothing wrong with remembering good times or anything like that. But I think ultimately it all comes back to Christ. That's my hot take. And I realize my movies, I have a romantic comedy, I have Christmas Vacation, Elf, Christmas Story, but then we don't get to, really to the top ones. How the Grinch Stole Christmas, Ford Family, and Christmas Carol. Somewhat Dickens is somewhat quasi type, focused on Christ. But then the Charlie Brown Christmas tells you what Christmas is all about.
Right.
So those are my top four, and the rest of them you can tell. Hey, I just had a lot of fun with it. And, have some fun with it. Christmas is a good time. We're joyous because of what God has done, but we're joyous. Just time to be joyous.
Yeah, that is probably a hot take. I know a lot of people wouldn't want to hear you talking about that, not because there's anything wrong with it, but because I think
in their
people.
Mind, there's something.
No, I know. I just mean I think people like to forget or try to forget that this time of year derives from so many different things. You have the Yule celebration, the pagan ritual that Christmas kind of derived from.
Well, actually, Christmas is not a
But-
pagan. But we could have another.
No,
It is
no,
not
it's
a
just-
pagan holiday. But anyway.
Well, there's all these things that they all kind of intermingle and intertwine, and people just because of that, they like to throw away all these different reasons that we do. Like, it's just Christmas, or it's just Xmas, or it's just the holidays.
Look up Wes Huff. He has a deal on there about Christmas is not pagan. Go ahead.
But again, that's not a conversation we have time for because that's like he said, a whole nother episode that we could do on that. But I do have a final question. You didn't have one, right? A final question put together?
Final question. I don't know what you're talking about.
I thought I was more clear when I sent you this, so that's my fault. And I
it's
also
not
thought you
your
would
fault.
kind of go off of mine. Like, it didn't have to be the same thing, and you don't even have...
Unless if it's in the Greek and I can parse it, I just can read instructions.
So have it translated into Greek so you can have fun and translate it, and then...
There you go.
That's a lot of work.
Tina is...
No, okay. So my final question. He doesn't have one, that's fine. My final question. If you could do, yourself, if you could do it, or if someone else were to, whether it's you or someone else, remake one of the movies you listed that you consider a Christmas classic, what would it be, and what would you love to see be done differently to improve it?
I thought about this, and they're all good. I wouldn't change...
Right, no, that's
majority
what
of them,
it's...
but the one that I would, and I did put the Christmas card there, and that's only because of the military aspect of it and the small town and all that. The chemistry between the two that were supposed to fall in love, I just didn't get it. It could have been better chemistry. I think the military guy was more military, and he was, I don't know, it didn't seem like there was a lot of chemistry there between them. There were some Hallmark movies where there's a lot of chemistry between the two romantic leads, but these, I just didn't get it. I think the chemistry could have been better between the two. And I know it's weird. What are you, are you handing your band card in here? A Hallmark movie? Come on, Robin. But it just, like I said, it was Hallmark before Hallmark. And that could have been a little...
Was it
little
really the
better.
first Hallmark movie?
No, they've got other ones, but before Hallmark became Hallmark.
Like,
I
its
mean,
own, like, the
thing-
brand of it.
The brand, Hallmark Christmas. Before that was a brand.
The stereotype
Yeah.
type thing. I got you.
And you know, the
I thought you meant
same-
like it was lit. I was like 2006?
and the same formula that's in everyone. In fact, I think one thing it focused on the guy more than it did the gal.
Yeah.
And the struggles that he was coming over. But they don't do that in Hallmark movies anymore. The focus is on the woman.
Right.
Anyways, but that's one thing I would have changed.
I've seen that. I think I watched that with you and Tina. Me and Jessica watched it one time with you and Tina last year, the year before. I know I've seen it before that too, or I think it may be I may be getting it mixed up with a different movie.
Here's something. I hope they don't make an Elf 2. I really don't. I think
Yeah.
I think Will Ferrell has held the line on that. He's not going to do an Elf 2. And,
Yeah,
and I just think if they did an Elf 2, what would they do it on?
That's like people bring up The Grinch too, a live action with Jim Carrey, a second one. My issue is he learned his lesson, his heart grew.
Yeah.
You know, he ended up with the girl or whatever. What is there to do the movie on? Like, I know that's where the writers come in and, you know, you have to make up all this different stuff. Like, other than making somebody's life miserable again, like what? Zooey Deschanel dies, her character dies in the movie. So what would Elf 2 be? Him trying to figure out how to be a father by himself? Honestly, that might be kind of funny. But we already have that in so many different versions.
Well, 3 of the
you know?
characters are dead now. James Caan has
Right.
died. Bob Newhart has died.
Right.
Ed Asner has died.
Yeah.
I think Mary Steenburgen's still around.
The only thing I could see them doing is his son becoming Santa Claus or something. But we have that. It's called the Santa Claus.
Well, his son did, yeah, well, actually, yeah, they should, yeah, that's...
No, I'm just saying, like, that's the only thing I could think of off the top of my head that they could do because that actor passed away.
Yeah.
For me, my final, or my example.
Oh, okay. I got what you're saying now.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like him taking over as Santa, like
Yeah,
offering
Buddy the
to-
Elf becoming Santa.
Yes, him or his son, whichever. You know, one of them.
Okay.
But again, we have that the Santa Claus, and then like the Santa Claus TV show. I haven't watched it, but like it's something about him wanting to retire. Like
Yeah.
we have it already. Is what I'm saying. I haven't watched it, but I know the general of what the first season is.
You didn't
But-
miss much. Go ahead.
Okay, my remake I'd like to see is Krampus, because I'd like to see an actual horrorized version of it. Because, in the movie, I like scary movies, okay? I didn't say nothing. I didn't dog you on your Hallmark movie.
I'm not dogging you at all, man.
No, listen.
I'm just-
Okay,
I'll
would
take
like
Hallmark over horror any day, but go ahead.
that is fair. I would like to see them redo Krampus, and the way that they made it, it becomes an ambiguous ending where the deaths aren't deaths, they're captures. I want to see stakes. Like, you know, the characters, if they're getting got, they need to get got. Like, I don't know, I'd like it to be spooky, not funny. Like, you can have funny moments. Horror movies do it all the time. You can have funny moments. But I would love to see them make it more slasher-esque or creature feature, like true creature feature-esque, and less silly. So, that was it for my final question. You just answered mine. You didn't have one, which is fine. I wasn't clear. That's my bad. Everyone, thank you for watching. Thank you for joining. Come back next. By the time this comes out, I'll actually already have Remake Rumble of A Christmas Carol. I'll be doing the Muppets Christmas Carol versus Jim Carrey's 2009.
Well, let me
But-
just go. Thank you for inviting me on. It's your channel. Do whatever you want.
Oh, yeah.
But
No.
Thank you for allowing me to come on and participate on this, and I hope it continues to grow and continues to do some good out there.
Hey, you heard him. Help me grow. Like, comment, and subscribe. Maybe share this video a little bit. I know it's long, but these have to be long. I mean, I try to cut them down. I'll try to cut this down without cutting out too much good information, because he went deeper than I did. That had a lot to do with me having to do other things with some of these movies that are on this list. I didn't want to dig too deep into them and just end up repeating myself in other videos what I'm saying in this video. Like I said, there will be a video out already. Please go check that out. I'll have the card up here somewhere. Just click on that, it should take you right to it. And then, of course, I have another podcast planned with my sister Jillian for White Christmas. Please come watch that, because that's a good movie, and please watch that movie first. Podcast and YouTube videos, whether it's reviews or whatever, are not a replacement, or should not be a replacement, for watching the films. Goodbye!